That's us recording now. So, oh, there's Astrid just joining as well. Hello, Astrid. So, into the chat box so that Jamie can see what your expectations are from tonight. Let's see what we've got so far. What's the end coming through yet?
This is worrying me now because it sounds like there's big expectations if it's taken a long time to type.
It could well be. Could well be. What I think I'll do is give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go into my Mac as well. I'm not seeing any comments coming through. You seen anything coming through yet? And Jamie?
No, they're all
So
thinking
there's no
deeply.
expectations for tonight. That makes it really easy. There's no expectations for tonight. Well, everybody, you're going to be absolutely delighted then. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my Mac.
Sorry, hi Stuart. Hi everyone.
Hello.
Good evening.
I missed your question because I'm actually printing out the workbook, so I didn't hear that.
All right. Okay. No problem. It was in the chat box. What is your expectations from tonight? And Alan says, I was asked by a student how to network. I assumed we all knew. We take networking for granted. Well, do you know what? Don't we just?
Yeah.
Don't we just? So bear with me just 2 seconds. I'll log on myself. That way I can get my chat box open. There's Tanvir coming in, and there's Stuart coming in. Good.
It's hard to know what time of night to pitch these things. So some people are just
Isn't it?
rushing home, getting stuck in traffic, tied up with clients during the day, kids, family, all those kind of things have an impact, don't they?
Absolutely. Don't they just? So what I'm looking for to get out tonight is just to sharpen my networking skills, because it's easy to fall into bad habits. So Neil's got networking for me will be to listen and find the key people in the room, okay? To get them to more than just a number. I like it. To really connect and see where business can help. One of the things that I found, I was involved with a networking group called BNI many years ago, which I think stands for brings nothing in, or maybe it's not, maybe it's the business networking. And and I found out that networking is not about the people in the room, right? So networking tonight is not about us. It's about who we know. It's about who we've got in our network. It's about who Neil knows that Neil can introduce me and vice versa. That to me is proper networking. And that's the bit I'm not very good at. I tend to focus who's in the room and not really take advantage of looking a bit deeper. Oh, there's Matt coming in as well, so I'll let Matt in as well. Does that sound about right, Jamie? Have I kind of hit the...
Yeah, you got the nail on the head there.
So Rohit's got, so networking for me was to go and speak to the right person in the room. Yeah. And just remember though, it's not just the person in the room. Obviously, the person in the room is important. And in this case, and in Circle's case, it's a virtual room, but it's who else those people know. And a great way to do that is go into the LinkedIn profile. If I want to know who you know, I'll just go into your LinkedIn profile. I have a wee spy. And then if I see that Alan knows Astrid, I'll then say, oh, listen, Alan, I've been trying to get hold of Astrid. Could you maybe make the reintroduction? And Alan will go, no, I can't do that, Stuart, because you're a really bad coach. I can't recommend you to anybody. Alan didn't do that. Cool. So who else have we got? The 550-100 book, How to Power Connect. Oh, it's interesting. Let's see what else we've got comment-wise. I missed any. But you're all getting it. You're all in the right space. So a quick show of hands. Well, the people that have got the camera off, this will be difficult. But who actually actively networks just now? Hi, Matt. I see you just joined us there.
Oh, Stuart.
Who actually actively networks just now? Neil? Alan's kind of half a hand up. I've got my hand up and I can put it back down again because it's not active. Kit's got a thumbs up. So maybe about a third of us. So I wonder what you'll take away from this and what you'll do differently. What I saw, especially in BNI, is there's the BNI works camp and there's the BNI doesn't work camp. In other words, there's the networking work camp and networking doesn't work camp. And what you always invariably find with any networking group is if you work with it, it will work for you. It's all about having these initial meetings, initial follow-ups, and being active and not coming along just for one session and then not coming along for another 3 or 4. Because the one thing that I found out is for networking to really work, you've got to have 3 things working for you: know, like, and trust. People will only refer you and do business with you if you know, like, and trust them. And that only gets done by being a consistent member. So, loads of people coming in now. Jamie, so that's Andrew just joined us. Who else came in there as well? Bear with me just 2 seconds. What we got? Got everybody on board. I think good. Okay, Andrew, thanks for joining us. So we have go hit 3 more. Matt, Astrid, Neil, Alan, Gavin, Milan, and Andrew. We've got myself, we've got Kit, we've got Tanvia, and we've got Himal. So without further ado, I will shut up and I will hand over to Jamie. We'll wait another couple of minutes, Jamie. We'll kind of wait to sort of 22 because there will be another couple of people that will come in. But I'll hand over to you to get us warmed up and prepared. So all over to you, Jamie.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for giving up a couple of hours of your time. I want to try and make this useful tonight for you. So whilst we're waiting for a couple of people, I'll give you a little bit of background on me. I started networking reluctantly, did not want to network at all. 10, 11 years ago, I left corporate life and started a social media business. And my ideal client, if you can remember back to 2013, nobody liked social media. It was something that other people could do for you. And so my ideal client was a business owner who didn't use social media. So I couldn't use social media to find them. So reluctantly, I had to start going networking. Didn't want to do it. Turns out I quite liked it. I enjoyed it. And I got some business from it. My first year, once I joined a network, my first year in networking, I picked up £18,000 worth of business from referrals from that group. And during my first year, I was invited to sit some training, but I was like, well, I'm already winning business from it. Why do I need to sit some training? You know, we don't read instruction manuals. We just do stuff, don't we? And then at the end of my first year, I lost what was going to be my biggest client the week that it was due to start, and I hadn't done any prospecting work. Someone said to me, come along to this networking group. So reluctantly, I went along. Fast forward a year, I sat this training course and £18,000 worth of business my first year. I did 88,000 the second year from the same networking group. Similar people, majority of the same people, but the difference was I had a plan for it. So I think I was guilty of that thing that happens. Somebody says, oh, just go networking. Come to this networking event. So I went along. I enjoyed it. I joined. I got some quick wins, but I didn't really have a plan for what I was doing. But I didn't make it easy for other people to help me. But I heard lots of other people do really well from it. And by really well, like, particularly in the trades, I think that trades can do a lot better. So trades and financial services, I think, are the two of the top areas that really do well in networking when they have a plan, when they put their heart and soul into it. A friend of mine, it was my mentor when I first got involved in networking. So like Stuart, I was involved in BNI years ago. The guy that mentored me when I first got involved, he was an electrician. And he picked up normal bits and pieces of work, but they would do commercial work as well. For a year, he went networking looking for one specific client and won them, and it was £1 million contract. Took him a year to get the referral that he wanted, but it turned into £1 million worth of business. So at the time, they did all the electrical fit out for Dulux Paint Centres. The direct competitor to Dulux Paint Centres was Johnston Paint Centres. So he went networking for a year, looking for an introduction to them. A year later, someone gave him that introduction. Within a week, he'd signed them up as a client that was worth £1 million a year to him. So when you're crystal clear on what you're looking for, and people know, like, and trust you, you can get exactly what you want from networking. Now, I've never had £1 million client from networking. I'm not in that kind of business. Maybe I should be an electrician because I don't know what to do. But there are huge opportunities out there when you get clear on what it is that you're looking for, and then can explain to other people how to introduce you, how to bring you up in conversation, and then open the door for you. And that's what happens with networking. Compare that to sales. Sales is where I approach Stuart directly and try and convince him to buy something from me. Straight away, people naturally have defenses that come up, whereas with sales you can do on your own. Networking, there's got to be somebody else involved. Nobody else can. You can't conjure up a referral. There's got to be somebody else that's involved in that in order to do it. Now, the beauty of that is, if I'm speaking to somebody who's got a problem that needs some help with a certain thing, and I know you, and then I bring you up in conversation, and let's say it's Stuart, and for the purpose of this, he's got a leak on his roof. And Stuart tells me he's got a leak on his roof. I say, I know a great roofer. He's asking me because he trusts me. And if I recommend somebody, that level of trust that he's got with me passes on to the person that I make the introduction for. He's not gone out and Googled it. So you're not competing on price. And if I've learned, so if the roofer, Alan, let's for the purpose of this, you're a roofer for the next few minutes. If Alan's taught me all about his stuff and how he works and what he charges and given me some examples of the work that he's done, and I explain that to Stuart, and I say, right, I'm going to put you in touch with Alan. What he'll do is he'll give you a phone call and find out what the problem is. Then he probably want to come round and inspect the job, and then he'll give you a price for it. He won't put you under any pressure. You can go away. He'll then send you an email confirmation through of exactly what he's going to do, how long it's going to take, what his payment terms are. Well, when Alan turns up at Stuart's house and does that, then there's no surprises. And Stuart, God, this is exactly what Jamie said was going to happen. And I had a rough idea on the price based on what Jamie had told me. Yeah, I'd just like to go ahead. And he might have done that LinkedIn search, checked out, done his due diligence, might have looked at his Google reviews and his Facebook reviews, and everything stacks up. So you just go ahead. With referrals, you can win a lot of business where there's no competition. So imagine winning more business based on word of mouth, where there's less competition, where people aren't comparing you to somebody else. You can charge the price that you know that you're good at, and you get introduced to the kind of clients that you want to deal with. Compare that to those people who are always, well, can you just do it a bit cheaper? Can you do it a bit quicker? And they're never happy. Could you just add this onto it and that onto it? We've all had those pain in the arse clients that are never happy, never pay on time. So when you get clear on what it is that you're looking for and you teach other people, like I tell people, only introduce me to nice people. And they all smile to themselves. Because we can all think of the pain in the ass clients that we've had in the past. I don't want introductions to those. Those people that never pay on time. Those people that question everything that you do. It's never fast enough. It's never quick enough. It's never big enough. All those things. I don't want introductions to those. So when you describe what it is that you do want, that's what you start getting. So within 3 months of sitting some training, a bit more in depth than what we're going to cover tonight, at the time I used to do a lot of video work, and a good client for me would spend about $3.5 grand a year. I got crystal clear on what I wanted, and I wanted to work for a franchise. And I got within 3 months of this, I got introduced to a franchise that spent 45 grand a year with me. So it was massive for me when an average client would spend 3.5. So when you can get clear on what it is that you're looking for and teach the people that you network with, they then start passing you those introductions. There's a bit more involved in it. You've got to build relationships. You've got to find those people. You've got to be good at what you do. But it can unlock a lot of doors that you don't currently have access to. Okay. Stuart, are we okay to start? Cool. Right. We've asked in the chat, I word it slightly differently. So I'm on page 4. If you've got the email that Stuart sent out, there's a workbook. If there's one thing that you could improve with your networking, what would it be? Just write it in there, but put it in the chat as well. And then I'll try my best to make sure that we answer some of this stuff for you as we go through the next 4 hours, 2 hours. Okay. And I think for most people, we go networking because somebody invites us along. So it might be that someone says, Craig, you should come to this networking group. In some networking groups, they'll go, Craig, just unmute yourself. What is it that you do?
Me, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm a self-made man. I do what I want, really. Not
in
it's not my
business.
job title,
What's your business?
Basically, I renovate properties. I turn them from a mess to great, and then rent them out. I have done that previously for a friend of mine, and it was a bit of a pain. And well, I was controlling all the trades, so I was like the middleman. I felt, I was getting everything done, and I was passing all the invoices over, including VAT and all that. I got registered, and I did this whole thing, packaged it, and it took absolutely forever just to manage this property. And I thought, right, the price I charged was lower than probably what I should have charged. And anyway, it was like a favor for a friend. For me, it was like an experiment. But I'm looking to do bigger, better things. And the answer to that question that you had a minute ago was, what do I need? I need another investor. I've got a kind of small investor at the moment, and I'm trucking along quite nicely with that. But I need one decent investor who isn't going to spend his money on a holiday home, or has a very demanding wife who likes lots of this, that, and the other, So I've ran into a few things. I've started the whole quest to find an investor and had interviews and lots of virtual chats on Zoom. And I've gone through the track a few times, and I'm like, okay, right, I'm going to do it again. And I seen this course and thought, right, perfect timing for me. Actually, I've just finished the project there. I'm waiting for the refinance to come in any day now. And I'm thinking, right, okay, just starting to set my sights. I'm like, right, okay, I'll maybe try and get an investor before I buy something this time, and do it slightly different, get someone else on board. Yes, that's where I am.
So someone might invite you along to a networking event, go, right, so we don't have anybody involved in construction, refurbs, come along. And there's that, I mean, you're saying the time's right, but sometimes we just randomly, someone will invite us to a networking event and we go along and we like it and we join. And we don't necessarily have a strategy. So what I would love, so I'm just reading some of the comments, what I would love from tonight is that you go away from this feeling prepared to go to a networking event and know what you're looking for. So we've got storytelling, having a story. Okay, I like that. Knowing when to network and who with. Maximize the company exists, can't immediately offer a service. Okay, so teaching people about what it is that you do, so that you've got that top of mind awareness, so that when the opportunity does come up, they know how to bring you up in conversation. Okay, feel free to stop me at any point if you've got any questions, or we can wait till the end and deal with those. I think a lot of people go networking because either someone says you should go networking to get what it is that you're looking for, to find clients, to find investors, might be to find partners, or just because they put the fear into us that there's a gap right now and you need to come now and join this network before somebody else takes it. So we end up going networking and we go without a plan. And I think a lot of people, and so I run a networking business, I see a lot of people turn up at networking unprepared. And I'll ask them, how can I help you? I'll say, Stuart, it's nice to meet you. Okay, so I understand what you do. What can I do to help you? Oh, I'd like an introduction to anyone. Anyone who, and Stuart might say, anyone who wants to scale their business. Well, that doesn't really help me. It doesn't really help me because I can't think of anyone. We all know too many people. If you go back pre-Facebook, when most of us only had some people in our probably handwritten address book, we probably knew 200 to 300 people. With Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and everything else now, we're all connected to thousands of people. So when we ask for anyone, it really means no one. So our job when we're networking is to help people narrow it down out of all the people that they know to the one or two that they could introduce you to. So when we go networking without a plan, we turn up and we go, oh, anyone who needs my services, I'd love to speak to them, generally doesn't work. Or if it does, you might get the wrong people as well.
Jamie,
So-
can I just jump in here with an example of this?
Yep.
And it's construction related as well. So I was at a networking event, and one of the members asked to speak to. He said he was a painter and decorator, and he said, "Look, I'm looking to speak to any home builders, any sort of small home bespoke home builders. They're great referrals for me." And I'm listening to this, thinking, okay, that's fine. I can't really think of him offhand right now. Never thought anything about it. And then the following week, he was back again, and he asked the same thing. He said, "I was asking last week for any bespoke home builders, and in particular, I'm looking to speak to the owner of Excel Scotland." And I know Jerry really well, who owns Excel Scotland. And when he asked for a home builder, it didn't click. But when he came and asked for a specific referral to Excel Scotland, so I gave him that referral and he got the business from it. So that reinforces exactly what Jamie is saying, that the power of being specific, and I'm not good enough at it, the power of being specific is fantastic. Back to you, Jamie. I'll shut up now.
Thank you. And I'll give you a good example of that. So there's a guy came and got involved in my network. So my network is called Circle Networks, and he got involved and he builds apps for Amazon Alexa devices, and he was offering them to anyone. A year into his membership, he sat some training with me and we narrowed down what he was looking for. He was afraid of niching. And I said, okay, so rather than niche, why don't you treat this like a marketing campaign? And for a couple of months, just focus on a specific client. And he said, okay, so like a great client for me would be a dentist. So he wanted to build an Alexa skill. So, your smart speakers, so that someone could either rebook or cancel an appointment rather than just not show up, because dentists have a problem with people just not showing up. A bit like you turn up at a job and no one being in and you can't do it. So within 2 weeks, he was inundated with referrals because all of a sudden, all these people he'd been networking with for a year could think of the dentist that they know that they could introduce him to. So it feels counterintuitive when we narrow it right down to something specific like Excel builders, rather than a construction company or a home builder. It makes it easier for people to filter the people that they know. In the same way, think about the last car that you bought. So for argument's sake, let's say you bought a blue Golf. As soon as you get a blue Golf, you start noticing them everywhere. Everywhere you go, you see blue Golfs. There's a bit in our head called the reticular activating system, and that's how that works. It filters everything and just gives you the information that it's focused on. In the same way, when you could be in a crowded room and someone says Astrid from the other side of the room, you could be in the middle of a conversation and you hear your name mentioned from the other side. That's the reticular activating system, and it works for referrals. So when you give somebody something really narrow to think about, they start spotting opportunities for you. So Craig asked for introductions to investors. So if he goes networking and starts saying, I'm looking for introductions to people that have got some money to invest, people that want to get involved in property, it just makes it easy for people to, they just hear those conversations. They see stuff on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and then they're able to make those introductions. So I'm on page 5. have you heard the saying, failing to prepare is preparing to fail? So a lot of people go networking without a plan. Imagine you're going networking, imagine you're going to see what could be your dream client. So Stuart's introduced you to somebody that meets everything that you're looking for. You probably put a bit of prep in. You don't turn up at the last minute and go, well, I could do anything for you. You'll put a bit of effort into it. When you go networking, you're potentially meeting your best ideal clients because you don't know who's going to be there. Or you could meet somebody that could introduce you to your ideal client. So there was someone who was a plumber once that I knew. Apparently, he was quite good at what he did. He always used to arrive late for networking events. On Facebook, he would have rants. I mean, we're going back a bit now, but it was the American elections, and he used to have these big rants about political stuff. And then he complained on a Friday night about getting called out by a client. Well, to me, plumbers generally get called out to fix leaks that don't happen during the day. And he was having a rant about a customer getting in touch with him to fix a problem that was his speciality. I never referred him to anyone. Why would I introduce someone to someone that's potentially going to moan about them, that might turn up late, that has these big rants? So you've got to get in the zone for this kind of stuff. So if you go networking, whether it's online or in person, arrive a little bit early. Think about what it is that you're going to ask for, and think about who would make a good introduction for you. So you can go networking to ask for clients, but you can also, someone's put in the chat, you can find people to collaborate as well. So you might go networking, and it's probably easier to ask for someone that could be a potential referral partner than it is for a client. So for example, Milan's put, he's looking for introductions to other landscapers and designers. I might not know somebody that wants their garden redesigning, but it's dead easy for me to spot a landscape gardener because that's their job title. So sometimes it's easier to find people that you could collaborate with and pass introductions to. So like plumbers can work brilliantly with electricians, builders can work with roofers and joiners. There's a lot of synergy between those two, and quite often they don't compete, so that when one person gets a client, they can easily introduce the other. So there's a huge opportunity, and that's easier. It's easier to find those people and get introductions to those people sometimes than it is to find clients. So think about what it is. Think about what it is that you're looking for before you go networking. Arrive a little bit early. And I think I see this a lot with online networking. It's only online, and we overestimate what we can do in the 10 minutes before the event starts. So at 5:20 tonight, you could probably imagine putting the kettle on, letting the dog out, sorting the kids out, having a quick chat with your missus. You just need to make a quick phone call. Oh shit, it starts at 5:30. Where's the link? And before you know it, you arrive a couple of minutes late. Compare that to a face-to-face event where we get up, get ready, allow a bit of time to, in case there's any traffic on the way. We might not know where we're going, so we allow a bit more time to park. We don't want to be the last person walking into the room and disturbing everything. And sorry, I'm late. The chair is always the noisiest thing. It's the squeakiest door. The spare seat's always the one that's furthest away, and you've got to shuffle past people and make them move out of the room. Nobody ever wants to be that person, and it's the same online. So when you arrive late for events, people imagine that that's what you would do if you introduced them to a client, and then they just don't introduce you. Nobody ever tells you that. So if Stuart arrives late, I don't go, Stuart, do you know what? You're always late for networking. I'm not going to introduce you to anybody because you're always late. They just don't do it. So there are some blocks that people have for that kind of reason. So before you even go networking, page 6, does your social media back up what it is that you're talking about? So is it up to date? So if you're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whichever platforms it is that you use that you tell people to look at, are you active on there? Stuart said the first thing he's going to do is go and check somebody out on LinkedIn. So does your profile match what it is that you're talking about at that networking event? If you're talking about building houses, have you got pictures of houses that you're working on? Do you share tips and advice for people? Are you posting on there regularly, or is it something that you do once in a while? Does your profile picture look like you? So if I look at Neil's LinkedIn account, for example, and there's a picture of his company logo, I'm just not going to get in touch because I'm expecting to see a picture of Neil. And is your picture up to date? It's not that hard to get a professional looking picture, rather than, we've all seen those pictures of someone's fingers, like husband and wife stood next to each other and then they've cropped the other person out. Does your picture match your brand, the image? You're wanting people to spend a lot of money with you. Spend a little bit of money on getting things right before you go networking. It's your reputation that counts. And for most of us, our face is our brand. So you need a good picture of you that's clearly lit, not doing something stupid, so that people go, all right, okay, he looks like a trustworthy person. She looks like a good person that I'd like to work with. Is your business listed on there? If it's a LinkedIn or Facebook profile, you can list your business and where you work. Does it then go to the business page? Does that look professional? Is it up to date? Do all the links work? So I remember connecting with a financial advisor on LinkedIn, and I use LinkedIn like a database. So I expect to find someone's phone number or their email address on there. She'd been a financial advisor for 12 months, wanted people to give her thousands of pounds to invest on their behalf. Her email address on her LinkedIn profile was something like jimbunny69@hotmail.com. Completely inappropriate for the job that she was doing. And when I dropped her a private message to point it out to her, she was mortified. So, and she soon changed it to a St. James's Place email address. So just do a bit of an audit on your profiles on social media to check that you've got the right information there. And it's probably easier to get somebody else to look at it, because sometimes when we look at our own stuff, we don't see it. But it's dead easy to spot mistakes in somebody else's stuff. So ask a friend, ask your partner, just have a look at all my stuff, click on my links, because when they do it from a different profile, they see it differently to us when it's our own profile. Okay, so that's getting your social media ready. And then imagine, so you go networking. What if you treated your weekly activity like a marketing campaign? If someone's running a radio advert or a TV advert, they don't just put it on once, do they? So they create the same advert and run it multiple times. What if, and yet we go networking and expect to do our 60-second pitch, or maybe a little bit longer at some events, and expect to get results when the person's only hearing it once? So what if your social media backed up what you were talking about at networking events? So if you're going networking this week and you're looking to fix Stuart's roof, and you put some posts on social media around about the roofs that you fixed, and then people go, oh, do you know what? That sounds familiar, that I've seen that. And if they're connected to you already and they've already seen your social media, and then you're asking about the same thing at a networking event, then it all starts to layer and help people find the stuff that you're looking for. The middle bit. So we're still on the prep before you go networking. Virtual or in person, how can you improve your space? So we're here tonight for virtual networking. I moved into this house a couple of years ago and it was just a plain white wall behind me. Looked really boring, looked really cool, looked really flat, made me look rubbish as well. So a little bit of paint, put some shelves up, put some books up, just makes it look a bit more professional. You don't have to do that. You can use virtual backgrounds. Stuart's got a virtual background on. Works better for men than it does women generally, because we've got short hair. When you tend to have like flowing locks, you get this blurry effect and things come in and out of shot. But you can use a virtual background. Have good lighting. So I've got a lamp. So if I turn this light off, my face is in darkness. If I just put this little lamp on here, I've got a bit better lighting. I can turn it like that. And at different times of day, you might have, I'm in the basement, but you might have a window in front of you. So at certain times of the day, it might be light. Nighttime, it might be dark. People want to see your face. You wouldn't, if you were at an in-person event, you wouldn't sit in a dark corner and expect people to know who you are, if you're smiling or not, if you're frowning, if you're listening. So it makes a real difference. I'm assuming that most of you guys are trades of some kind or involved in construction. Branded workwear makes a huge impact. So you might have some polo shirts that have got your logo on, or you wear the same thing all the time. It can give some consistency to what you do. At the start of lockdown, I remember seeing people on Zoom where we were all just winging it a bit, and they would be in like the dining room with piles of ironing on the tables behind them and expect people to make introductions to them to people that were going to give them thousands of pounds. And then there'd be kids running around and dogs and cats and all sorts of stuff. So you've got to think, if you were going to have a meeting with somebody that was going to spend a lot of money with you and you were doing it in person in your office, you'd tidy up, you'd wear the right stuff, you'd look the part for it. So there's a bit of prep that you can do beforehand. Then the last bit, is there any props that you could use in your meeting? I remember there was a guy that I used to network with who was a builder, and he used to do rendering, and he used K-Rend, and he used to have, I don't know if any, like, not want to get too technical, but he used this stuff and he used to pour water on it to be able to show how it just ran off. So it could be that you could have some props that show some things that explain what you do. CAD drawings of projects that you've worked on, or before and after pictures. It's really easy to do stuff. So whether you're in person or online, you can do a lot more than just turn up and talk. You can show people stuff, and it goes a long way. Okay, any questions so far? No? Good, okay. Page 7 then. So what is it you want from the meeting? So I think there's 3 things really that you can go networking for. There's a lot more, but these are the 3 core things. You can go looking for your ideal clients. You can go looking for referral partners, or you can go looking for people that you can collaborate with. So ideal clients, if you've got your dream client, so think of the best client that you've ever had. When you go networking, you might say, this is what I'm looking for. And you paint a picture with words of your dream client. So I was speaking to someone earlier today, and we all prejudge people. Stuart, you know Ailsa. In fact, she's done this a few months ago, hasn't she? She did one of these.
Yeah, she came along to our branding expert.
Yes. So Ailsa runs a branding and marketing company. One of her clients has got an exclusive lighthouse on a 4-acre island off the coast of Skye. Really private island. You can only get to it on a boat. There's only one cottage next to the lighthouse, and she works with them. She's been working with them for 5 years now, and when they first launched, they would charge £250 a night. It's now up to £800 a night for this lighthouse, and they've built a premium brand. They've got a plan this summer to introduce £12,000 3-night stays. And they want to do that for American tourists that come along that have got ridiculous amounts of money to spend. So they had this idea for it. And then Ailsa's at a networking event the other day and said, I've no idea how I'm going to find these high net worth Americans. The guy that she was stood next to said, oh, you need to speak to so-and-so. He's involved in this Chamber of Commerce. He's the guy that's responsible for looking after the high net worth Americans when they come to Scotland. Who would have thought it? She was blown away. She was like, how the hell am I going to find somebody that can help with this? And she just happened to be stood next to someone that knew the right person for her to speak to. It was like, just give him a call. I'll give you his number. I'll give him a call and explain that you're going to call him. So when you're clear on what it is that you're looking for and you tell enough people, they'll work out how they can help you. It's dead easy, though, to go networking and just ask for something really simple. And I have this suspicion that if you're a builder and you just go looking for small patch jobs, remedial works rather than construction projects, then that's all you're going to get. So if you say, right, I'm looking to fix leaks on a roof, no one's going to go, oh, instead of fixing a roof, could you put a new roof on this mansion that I've got? So referrals very rarely go up. They can come down. So if you go networking and go, we can manage any project. We've just finished a £100,000 new roof on this big mansion. Somebody might then ask if you can fix a leak, but it doesn't go the other way around. So when you go networking, paint a picture of your ideal client, and I work with smaller ones as well. but it doesn't work the other way around. You can't go up generally because people will think, right, so he fixes things, he doesn't build things. He does small jobs, he doesn't do big ones. The other part as well is if you've got a team that work with you, tell people that you've got a team. Otherwise, they just assume that it's you. And there's nothing wrong with it just being you. There's only me in my business. But if you've got a team, I remember someone came to me and wanted me to do some work for them. And I thought it was just him and he had 14 employees. It kind of blew me away a little bit because when I met him, I even met Andrew. There was only Andrew that came to the networking event. Nobody had ever told me that there was 13 more people in his team. So if you've got a team of people, just say, we do this. I've got so-and-so that's responsible for that. And this is a picture of me and some other people working on this project. So it's all in the prep. So you can go networking looking for your ideal client. You can go networking looking for referral partners. And a referral partner is somebody who consistently passes you introductions and you reciprocate. So you pass them back to them. Now, when I first started my social media business and went networking, I thought I had a couple of referral partners. So I had some people that regularly passed me introductions. It turns out they did, although they did pass me regular introductions, all that happened was when someone said to my friend Damien, oh, you do a great job on your social media, he would say, oh, I don't do it. You need to speak to Jamie and then introduce them to me. So he was just reacting to people asking him questions. He wasn't being proactive in finding me introductions. At the point that I started teaching people exactly what I'm looking for and starting to help them and they help me back, that's when the business just took off with referrals. So get clear on what it is you want. Ideal clients, referral partners, they're the people who deal with your client on a daily basis. So if me and Stuart both dealt with people in construction and we did something different, he helps them to sell their business and I help them to grow their business, then if I win a client, I'm not going to be risking anything by introducing Stuart. We both deal with the same clients. And it might be I've got somebody else that does marketing for people in construction, somebody else that does branding. And the team of us can all work together so that when one of us gets a client, we can, at the right point, make introductions for the other people. So you kind of form an unofficial alliance. And then there's people that you might collaborate with. So they're people that they might have an email list of something completely different that they could do something. Me coming here and doing this with Stuart tonight, we're collaborating on this. So those are the three different things that I think you can be intentional about. If you go networking though, and you go, right, so I'm looking for my ideal client, but I also want a referral partner. And if you know, and we start listing stuff, people stop listening. So at each networking event, just go and ask for one thing because people can remember one thing. And in an ideal world, you're going to help them narrow down who they're thinking about to just one or two people. So if I meet Craig tonight and I might know some investors, I don't think anyway, but Craig's asked for introductions to investors and I'm like, oh my God, I know loads of investors. Craig, I can introduce you to loads of people, but I'm going to come off this call at 7:30 and then I'm going to get something to eat. And then I think to myself, all right, I'll do that when I'm not busy. I am never not busy. We're all always busy, aren't we? So most people that you speak to when you're networking, they're going to be busy as well. So they might know the right people to introduce you to. If you can just help them get it to one person, then after the meeting, it's dead easy to tick that off. All right, I'll come off that. I'll ring Neil. I'll make that introduction. I'll pass the details on to Craig. Everyone's happy. If it's a lot of work to do, chances are it's probably not going to happen. So help people narrow it right down. Then think about the time that you've got. So you go networking, there's 21, imagine this is a networking event, there's 21 of us on here tonight. If it's in person, you might go networking, you get loads of business cards and you think, oh, that's great, I've got like 30 business cards from that event tonight. How many people do you actually want to meet with? Is anybody not busy here? Right, we're all really busy. So when I go networking, generally, I'm looking to meet one good person. That's my goal for the event. I want to meet one person that I'm going to have a follow-up meeting with. And then I'm not just going to have one meeting with them. So if anybody that goes networking, have you ever had generally they call them one-to-ones, don't they? Have you ever had one-off one-to-ones with people where you have a nice coffee and a chat and then nothing ever happens as a result of it? So you meet somebody, oh, Stuart, we should have a one-to-one. And we have a great chat and we both inflate our egos a little bit and talk about all the things that we could do. And then we leave that meeting and then neither of us ever gets in touch again. We never pass any introductions. Set yourself a goal so that if you're going to meet someone like Stuart, that you then go, right, I'm going to get to know this person. I'm probably going to need to have 3 or 4 or 5 meetings with them. He's got to get to know me. He's got to trust me. He's got to learn how to bring me up in conversation. And I've got to do the same about him so that we build a business friendship and start helping each other. It's like business dating. In our personal lives, we don't go on one date and get married. And yet in business, we go networking and expect to meet somebody once and then they give us all the best introductions that they've got. It doesn't happen like that. You've got to build relationships with people. So, going networking, most of you will have put this in your diary tonight. Assuming that this is a networking event, how many of you would put some time in your diary to do some activity to help the people that you've met? So it's dead easy to go networking. When do you find the time? Because you want other people to pass you introductions. So you're expecting them to find time to find you the introductions to the clients that you want. When are you going to do it? So 15 minutes before the networking event, you start thinking about what is it I'm asking for today. Ideally, it's the same stuff that you've been posting about on social media that week. And then it starts to tell a bit of a story. Then you go networking and you meet somebody and you share your example, what you're looking for. And someone goes, oh, yeah, I know that person. And I make a note of it. And Alan might see me when he's describing his ideal clients. He might go, oh, Jamie, I'll just write Jamie's name down because I think he recognized someone that he could introduce me to. I'm busy. Alan then needs to follow up with me afterwards and go, so when I was describing my ideal client at that networking event, Jamie, you look like you knew somebody that you might be able to introduce me to. And then it's up to him to teach me what to say and do to open the doors for that. So there's a bit more work to it. Then if I think, oh, right, okay, so I could help Patrick with an introduction, then I need to do that. I need to write it down. What am I going to do? I need to go away and speak to Andrew and say, Andrew, I know this guy, Patrick, you were saying that you've got this problem. Would it be all right if I introduce you? Rather than just giving Patrick Andrew's details. So there's levels of introduction. The more effort that we put into it to explain how someone can solve a problem, the more likely they are to want to meet with that person. So you've got the, what am I going to do beforehand? The prep. Going to the event, being the best version of you, and then afterwards having some time in your diary to actually do the activity that leads to people getting business. And it's dead easy just to, like on Zoom, it's dead easy to go from call to call. It's dead easy to rush around and have that excuse. If you're not going to put the time in to do the effort to pass introductions, it's kind of pointless going networking because at some point, if you don't pass referrals, no one's going to pass them to you. So I've learned the more referrals that I pass to other people, the more I get back. And I just try and get better and better at helping people. Now, I might narrow it down. So initially, when I first go networking, I'll help you and I'll help you and I'll help you. But then I work out who deals with my clients and I want to focus my efforts on people that are dealing with the same kind of client as me. Does that make sense? Okay, page 8. So things that you can cover in your networking, in your one-to-ones with people. And if you're part of a network, there's usually an opportunity to do a presentation as well. So you can describe your ideal client. So at our networking events, we do them slightly differently. We start by, so Stuart's been to one of ours. So we do ours on Zoom and we put people into breakout rooms. There's no pitch into the whole room like this. There's 4 people in a breakout room. Everybody gets 4 minutes each. And we say, start by telling us a bit about yourself, a bit about your business, and then what can we do to help you? If I just turn up at a networking event and go, hi, I'm Jamie from Circle Networks. I'm looking for an introduction this week to anybody that wants to, blah, blah, blah. No one's paying attention. They all sound the same. Hi, my name's Stuart. I'm Stuart from The Power Within. This week I'm looking for an introduction to, they all just sound the same. So at our networking events, I start by, hi, I'm Jamie. I'm a dad. Got 3 kids, 11, 18 and 20. Originally, I'm from the Lake District and now live in Cheshire. Got 2 dogs. I love gin. I love curries. I love barbecues. And I'm a retired scuba diver. Usually from that, someone can find something, that's the short version, but someone can find something that they've got in common with me. It also helps them introduce me to somebody who's got things in common with me. So I know that Stuart's got a dog. So if someone wanted to introduce you to, oh, you'd get on well with him. He's got a dog like you. He's always out walking his dogs. People want to deal with people that are like them. So we help people teach people how to introduce them. Then describing your ideal client. I say to people, tell me about your best client or tell me about your most recent one. Usually that's easy for you to do. You shouldn't have to think too hard about your best client you've ever had or your most recent client. So it's just easy for people to do. And then you can talk about what problem did they have? What did you do for them? And what did you say afterwards? What did they say afterwards? And then the last bit, I think people struggle with this. What can you do to help me? So that's the structure of your pitch. So if you might have something that's quite complicated, I can't think what it would be off the top of my head, but let's assume that you've got something that's not easy. If I don't know you and I don't know your stuff and I don't know your terminology and the jargon and the problems, how am I going to be able to introduce somebody? So it might be that you go networking and say, so this is what I'm looking for. This is my ideal client. If you think that you know somebody that you could introduce me to, let's have a phone call so I can tell you what to say to them. Because people never come back to us and tell us about the referrals that they mess up. So I'm never going to ring Stuart and go, Stuart, I had a dream referral for you. They had bucket loads of cash, but I messed up the referral when I was speaking to them. Nobody ever does that. So you can go networking for years and other people might try and fail and you think that you're not getting any referrals, and it might just be that you just need to help them. And I'll give you a good example of this. There was someone that I network with, and she's involved in property. Actually, she's got a number of investors, and she helps them get into the world of property. Now, she talks in property jargon. She talks about rent to rent, serviced accommodation, and that meant nothing to me. And I said to her, Naz, don't you do anything to do with Airbnbs? I know loads of people that want to get involved in Airbnbs. Yeah, that's what I talk about every week, Jamie. I was like, I've never heard you mention Airbnb. She's like, well, no, it's rent to rent and it's serviced accommodation. I'm like, well, that means nothing to me. So for a year, she'd been networking and never mentioned the word Airbnb. All of a sudden, she started getting introductions. Nobody had ever said to her, do you do Airbnb? So it can be really tiny little things like that that make the difference, that start getting you the referrals. Chris, the guy that I mentioned before that builds Alexa skills, just happened to start talking about dentists. The guy that actually introduced him to Circle Networks the next week, a year after he joined, introduced him to a dentist that spent a few £1,000s with him. So we can go networking for a long time and no one ever tells us how we're doing it wrong. And then we make a tiny little tweak and all of a sudden we start getting what we're looking for. So you can describe your ideal client. You can describe your favorite client. You can, I encourage people to have 2 or 3 presentations that you can do at a moment's notice. So Ailsa that I mentioned a few minutes ago, I was running an event last night. It was at 5 o'clock. We have 2 people do a 7-minute presentation at our events and someone dropped out at 4. So I dropped Ailsa a message at 4 o'clock and said, would you be able to do it? Because I know that she can do it. Would you be able to do a presentation at 5 o'clock? 10 to 5, she saw the message. At 5 o'clock, she turned up ready to do the presentation. From that, she's talking about her ideal client. So she's talking about who do you know? So she described the lighthouse, how she took them from £250 a night to £800 a night. And then at the end of it, she went, so if you know anyone that's got any Airbnbs that they like to earn more money from, and someone said, well, I know someone that's got quite a few cottages that they rent out, would that be a good introduction? And then they're making that introduction for her. So you paint a picture, but you've got to be prepared. So she was prepared to turn up at short notice and do that presentation. You can teach people how to bring you up in conversation. So you know your stuff really well. People generally don't go around saying, I've got this problem. Do you know anyone that can fix it for me? So for me, people don't go around generally saying, can anyone teach me how to network better? No one goes around saying that. They might say they're looking for more clients. They might say that they can't afford something. They might say that I've been networking, it doesn't work. They're all ways to bring me up in conversation. People might be frustrated with not earning enough. They might want to buy something. They might want to take things away. So you've got to work out what's the stuff that people might be talking about, that when somebody hears that, they go, oh, I know someone to introduce you to. So you can teach people how to bring you up in conversation. Then you then teach people how you actually want them to introduce you. And that sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? So people hear different things when I say that. So if I say to you, how would you like me to introduce you? What I mean is, how do you want me to make the introduction? So what I quite like is I like LinkedIn group chats, and I'll do a group chat. So if I'm introducing Andrew to Lewis, then I'll make that introduction on LinkedIn. I'll probably need to check beforehand that you both used LinkedIn actively. I'll do a group chat and I'll record a voice note into it that says, hi, let me introduce you. I'm introducing you because of this, this, and this. If I write an email and one of you doesn't like reading emails, I'm wasting my time. So teach people what suits you best. It might be a WhatsApp group introduction. It might be that you want someone to bring someone to an event to meet you. Whatever works best for you, teach people what to do to help you. It's really weird. I decided at one point I wanted to work with a franchise. It took me 4 meetings with somebody to get to know them in one-to-ones. And then he introduced me to the franchise that he was in, who then spent 45 grand a year with me for a few years. So you can get really quick wins, but you're dealing with bigger ticket items normally. You've got to build a good relationship with people so that they've got the confidence in you to introduce you to the people that pay their mortgages. If they're going to introduce you to their top clients, they're the people that pay their mortgages. Like, think about this right now. Who's your best client that pays you the most money right now? Everyone got someone in mind? Would you introduce a random stranger that you've just met on Zoom tonight to your top client? Probably not. So there's a relationship building element to this. If you want those dream introductions, Craig mentioned he's looking for investors. No disrespect, Craig, I've just met you tonight. You seem like a nice guy, but I don't know anything about you. I'm not going to introduce someone to you tonight just because you've asked for it. We need to get to know each other first. You've got to demonstrate that you're good at what you do. Why would I want to do that? And show up on time and be punctual and have a good Google review, and all those things make a difference when you're wanting introductions to dream clients. Okay. Right, page 9, how to make an impact with presentations. At some point when you go networking, you're going to have to do presentations. Over Zoom, I tend not to like to use PowerPoint, only because you've all been on Zoom before when someone starts screen sharing and all of us move across to that tiny little column on the right. And then what happens, I think, is everyone sits back a little bit because they're not quite on camera. They might not even be on screen. They pick up their mobile phones and they go, I'll just check my messages. So at the point that you start screen sharing, I think on Zoom, you lose the audience a little bit, particularly if we drop off screen, that you lose people's attention. When we're doing face-to-face networking and you're using slides, what normally happens is you walk up and stand at the front of the room. So I would walk up to the front of the room. There's a projector up here with all the stuff. Everyone's still looking at me at the same time that they're looking at the screen. But I think it's different on Zoom. You lose people's attention slightly and you can't see what people are doing. If we're all in one big room, you're not going to pick up your phone like this. Like if you see, I can quite easily have my phone in my hand and no one knows. But I do, because you start looking down and you're not paying attention. So I'm not a huge fan of using Zoom for screen sharing unless you really have to. It might be, though, that you're showing some before and after pictures of the project that you worked on. We'll bring that up and then take it off. Don't have to have it on screen for the whole thing. Ask, so what? So think about the presentation that you're making. I think a lot of us put a lot of waffle into presentations. I might be a bit maverick with this, but I hear a lot of people go, so here's a picture of my wife, there's my kids, that's us on holiday. That's not going to make me pass a referral to somebody. So ask the so what question. It's nice that you've got that, but that's stuff that should happen in one-to-ones with people. That's the know, like, trust. When you're doing a presentation, it's got to make an impact. How is it useful? Share some tips, share some examples of the work that you've done, explain what a dream client is. You know, Ailsa did a great job last night. She talked us through how she'd helped this lighthouse launch their business and go from £250 to £800 a night. And then by the end of it, she demonstrated how good she was at what she does to then say, this is what I'm looking for an introduction. Now, it might take a follow-up meeting with somebody before they're confident to make that introduction, but that's what you can do with your presentations. You can make them interactive. You can make them interactive. So at the start, we put some stuff in the chat. I try my best to quickly mention people's names as we're going through the event. I don't do it with everybody because people move around, but I'll pick out some names so you can mention people's names. One of my favorite words is Jamie. I love to hear my name mentioned. We're all the same. We like to hear our name mentioned. It makes us pay attention as well. So when I say Tobias, all of a sudden, no matter what you're doing, you hear me say your name. And have a clear call to action at the end. So at the end of your presentation, what is it you want someone to do? So it's not just a case of me talking about something that I've done and assuming that you're then going to go away and do something to help me. You've got to make it really obvious to people. So what I'd really like is, and this is quite often how I end, if you think you know someone that you could introduce me to, let's have a chat so that I can talk you through it and explain the best way to make that introduction. Because I know my stuff better than anybody else. So I want to make it as easy for you. I don't want you to go away and try and fail. I want you to go away and get me that meeting with somebody. So that's a flash, quick stop tour on what to do with your presentations. Presentations generate business. Now, I encourage people not to pitch to the room. But when you're doing presentations, you capture people's attention. And there was someone that was one of our events the other week. She was doing a presentation and she runs a short 4-week course for people to write better content. So it's a content creation course, an hour a week for 4 weeks. It's £97, I think. She'd done it a number of times. And I said, and just before the meeting was due to start, I said, what are you talking about today? And she was, I'm not sure, I might do. I've got this new presentation. And there was 2 of us there and we went, no, you've got your course starting in a couple of weeks. People need to hear it. And she did the presentation again to a room full of people that had heard it before, and 3 people signed up while she was doing her presentation. People need to hear stuff multiple times. So when you're doing a presentation to people, don't just do it once and never use it again. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Makes a difference. People don't create TV adverts and only put it on once. They go again and again, and then we see a billboard, and then we hear it on the radio, and then we might see it in a magazine. And then when we're looking for a new car, we go, oh, do you know what? I quite like that Golf. So you do the same thing with your business. Treat it like that. Run campaigns. And you get more screen time and you get people's attention and they get to know you a bit better. Page 10. We're all short of time. So there's a couple of tips here of things that work. If you're not using a calendar booking tool, then Calendly is the main one that people start off with. And I think most people start off with the free version that lets you have 1 meeting type on it. So the default, I think, is 60 minutes. I soon upgraded to the paid version, and now I'm not on Calendly anymore. I use it as part of my CRM system, but I've got a number of different meeting types. If someone asks me for a call, a one-to-one, and I don't know them, I send them a link that's a 15-minute phone call. Not a Zoom call, not anything else, It's just 15 minutes. I'll come to that, Tanvir, in a bit. But I'll send them a 15-minute phone call link. I can take a phone call anywhere. I don't have to be sat down here in my dungeon in front of Zoom. I can be walking my dogs and take a phone call. So then that call, and someone did this with me. So he was like, so is it only 15 minutes in case I'm some kind of weirdo and you don't want to speak to me for long? I said, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. It doesn't wait. I don't need to waste an hour. It's just 15 minutes. Now, if you turn out to be someone that I want to speak to, I'll say, that's great. Let's book a longer meeting in. But I'm not going to give up an hour to a stranger straight away. So I've got a 15-minute phone call, 30-minute, 45-minute, 60-minute Zooms, 90-minute Zooms. And it depends on what it is that I'm doing with somebody, which link I send them to book with me. Slightly different for you guys, because I would imagine you're out and about as well, but you can have it so it's restricted. So you might have Mondays as your day in the office and people can book stuff. Now, if you only let everybody book an hour meeting with you, 6 or 7 meetings in the day and your day's full, you could get a lot of 15-minute phone calls in there. You could get some 30-minute calls. You could have 20-minute calls. So you can do a lot more with your time when you're a little bit smart with it. So that's how I use a calendar booking system. I also use a thing called Linktree. Has anybody heard of Linktree?
No.
So most of you have got a website, but Linktree is really easy. So if I put my Linktree in there, I'm going to screen share now just to show you it. It's really easy to have all your links in one place. I think this is the right one. Okay. So there's an app for Linktree. I'm on the free version of it. So I was running an event a few weeks ago. There's a download. You can watch the recording by clicking on that top one. I've got a conference coming up. Included in the conference, you get some of my training stuff. You can click on that. So all I need to do, I don't need to remember any of this stuff. I'll just say, go to my Linktree. Here's the link. I've got a podcast. You can try Circle Networks for free. So I let people have a 14-day free trial. Come to as many events as you like. Just click on that button, try Circle Networks for free. I've got a podcast. I've got a lead magnet, a tracker there. So I've got a few different things. All my links are in one place. And there's an app for it. It's dead easy to add new things, turn things off. I was on the website. I could do that on the website, but I've got to be in front of my laptop. I've got to log in. I've got to make it look pretty. Linktree is just dead easy that you can do it on the fly. So when you're networking, you can just say, oh, so just click on it. You might have a QR code that takes somebody to your Linktree. So I just find that that's a really useful tool to have everything in one place, particularly if you're in something that's quite visual and you're using Instagram. You can only have one link on the whole platform. You can't put a link on each post. So you can use Linktree as the link on your Instagram profile or your LinkedIn profile and just say, click on the link in my bio, and then it's the third one down, or however you want to describe it. So that's a couple of tips on those things. My other advice, I mentioned it already. If you go networking, you're going to meet somebody, they're going to ask you for a one-to-one. Think about having multiple meetings with those people. It's business dating. So if I meet Rohit tonight for the first time, and then he says, can we have a one-to-one? I probably need to have a number of meetings with him for us to work out exactly how we're going to work with each other. And I explain this to people in this way. If you were going to recruit a salesperson, so imagine this, your business is growing, you're at the point now where you can take somebody on to be a salesperson for you. How much time would you spend training them on your business to be the best salesperson for you? Probably a week, maybe 2 weeks. Then you might get them back in the office and see how they're getting on. What stuff have you been talking about? What do you find hard? When we go networking, we expect someone to be a great salesperson for us after hearing our 60-second pitch. And yet, if we were to recruit somebody, we'd spend weeks training them. So your one-to-ones are where you train people. You're not going to do it in one meeting. It's going to be multiple meetings with people so that they then introduce you to the people that pay their mortgage. Their clients are the ones that you want introductions to. They are like this. They're top people. Might be their brothers or sisters or best friends. You've got to build a really good relationship with people to get the best introductions. Another way to save time is you could have group one-to-ones. So if you imagine, if I wanted to have a one-to-one with Stuart, we might have an hour's meeting. Then I'm just going down the left of my screen here, and then I'm going to have a one-to-one with Neil, and then I'm going to have one with Andrew, and then I'm going to have one with Lewis. That's 4 hours. And then if they all want to have meetings, that's going to take more time as well. But it might be that we can all collaborate. So what if we just had one group one-to-one where we all have a little bit of take a turn? It only takes 1 hour for that meeting, and then I get to sit and listen to other people's conversations. Whereas sometimes when we're one-on-one with people, we're listening, but we're also thinking about what we're going to say next. And you're trying to concentrate, but you're trying to remember that thing, because as soon as Jamie's finished talking, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to ask him my stuff, because my stuff's more important than his stuff. So when there's 2 or 3 of you that meet, you've got the opportunity to listen better because you're not thinking about what you're going to say. So group meetings can have a lot of benefit, but it can save you a lot of time as well. So I'd much rather have a meeting with Stuart, Neil, Andrew, and Lewis in one go than 4 separate meetings. It can just save us a bit of time. And then the 4th tip I've got on here, you're going to train some people how to help you. Have you got like a standard kit or resources to help people? So I've got a number of different things. Like on my Linktree, there is a how to refer me document. So if I just bring back up my screen share again, so that if someone wants to know how to refer me, I can say, oh, right, have you looked at this? So I haven't updated this for a while, but most of it's there. So there's a picture of me so they remember who I am. So this is just done on Canva. Anybody can do this. It's a CV template. There's a little bit about me. There's how can you help me? So I explain that I want introductions to people about Circle Networks. I've got a testimonial on there. One guy got involved. He had 40 grand's worth of business in 12 months with us. My contact details are on there. There's even copy and paste wording so that somebody could just copy and paste that and send it to somebody or write a social media post about me. It's really easy for someone to be able to help me from that. Might be that you've got loads of before and after pictures of projects that you've worked on. So if you've got a smartphone, do you have, or have you ever been with somebody who go, oh, I've got a picture I need to send you, and they're scrolling, it's here somewhere. Oh, when was it? Rather than just having a folder on your phone of your projects, of your screenshots of customer testimonials, so that in an instant, you can just put your finger on it and send it to somebody. But equally, what you really want them to do is, if I'm going to WhatsApp Neil a load of clients' pictures or projects that I've worked on, I really want him creating a little folder in his photos so that when he's in front of a client, he can go, oh, let me show you Jamie's stuff. It's just here. So you've got to teach people what you want them to do. And the weird thing is, when you make it easy for people and you explain what you want them to do, they just do it. When people are confused, they do nothing. They do nothing. Okay. Right. The other thing that I come up with, there's more than one way that people can help us. There's more than one way. So let's assume you go networking. Networking is the start of it. Then I meet Tobias at a networking event, and I think, oh, we could do well. If only Tobias could help me. We've got to make it really easy. So I use the Notes app on my phone a lot. And on my Notes app, I've got a note here. You can't quite see it because of the light, but it says 10 ways to help me. So me and Tobias have a great conversation, and I said, Tobias, would you, I'd really like to help you. What could I do to help you? And you tell me, I'd like an introduction to somebody that's got £1 million that they want to spend with me. And okay, I know someone like that. Then he'll say to me, what can I do to help you? I say, okay, thanks for asking. There's a few different ways, and you might do one of these, or you might do all of them, but something's better than nothing. So I've got here 10 ways that people could help me. The first one is you could invite, so this is my version of it. Invite somebody to one of my networking events to come and meet me. Dead easy, doesn't cost anything. Introduce me on a 3-way Zoom call. So the best way for Stuart to introduce me to Neil, Neil, you're getting the brunt of this because you're right next to Stuart on the screen. But Stuart could set up a 3-way Zoom call where he goes, right, let me introduce you. Jamie, meet Neil. Neil was saying that he wants to get involved in networking. I was telling him how great you are at networking. Neil's got this business and he does this and this is what he's looking for. Jamie, let me hand over to you. And Stuart can leave the meeting at that point. He's just done the introduction and set me up to be good at what I do. That's an easy thing to do now with Zoom, isn't it? Trying to organize the logistics of that face-to-face is a bit harder to get 3 people in the same place at the same point. But Stuart building me up as an expert on what I do to fix a problem that he knows that Neil's got works really well. So what else have I got? I've got a conference coming up that includes some training. Get somebody to buy a ticket for that. You don't need me involved in that. You could just say, no, this guy is bloody good at what he does. And for the people that know me, they can do that. They can say, right, you just need to book your ticket for this event. It includes this training, do that. You could write a social media post about me. So if you've met me, you know me, you've worked with me, write a social media post and tag me in it. You could comment and tag on my social media. You could write me a review. You could invite somebody to join our Facebook group. You could take my networking one sheet that's got all the information on it and go away and do something, introduce me to somebody using that. You could get me a speaking opportunity like Stuart's got here tonight. I love speaking about networking and helping people. Or you could send them this link and there's a link on it at the bottom. So I've got 10 ways. Somebody can find one from that list that they could easily do something. Once they've done one, they go, that was easy. I could probably do something else. But you've got to make it easy for people. You know your business really well. You've got to equip people with the stuff to help you. So one of the things that I also use, like I'm an Apple person. So on Apple, I use keyboard shortcuts. So the way I don't remember my link tree, I've got a keyboard shortcut that's like a text expander. So I put in LIN and it automatically expands it to my link tree. I've got, if I just put JC, it automatically expands to my Jamie@Circle Networks email address. So the stuff that you type all the time, I've got another thing. So I use this app there called Lead Chest. So that link there, I just type in LC and it expands into that. So I'm not here to teach you how to do it. It's dead easy to find. Google it, text replacement. But that app there, that Lead Chest one that I've shared, I think I pay about £25 a month for that tool. There's a video, you click on that and there's a video of me and it says, hi, I'm Jamie from Circle Networks. And I explain a little bit about Circle Networks. There's a button at the bottom of it that says, watch next video. Then there's a testimonial from one of our members that says how great Circle Networks is and how it's helped him. And then at the bottom, it says, watch next video. Then the last bit, it comes back to me and I say to people, if you'd like a free 2-week trial, click on this and it takes you to our events page and then you can book to come along. Somebody at that point feels like they know me because they've watched a couple of minutes of me on video. Imagine if you had something like that, that people were giving out to the people that they know that introduced you to them. People watching videos feels like they're starting to get to know you. So Craig, you're looking for investors. Imagine that you had a version of that. Hi, I'm Craig. Let me show you around this property that I've redeveloped. This was it beforehand. This is it now. Click here if you'd like to book a meeting to find out how you can invest in my next project. And when you go networking, you say, right, here's what I'm looking for. People with tons of cash, get them to watch this video. Do you think that people could get people to watch a video for you that was 60 seconds long? It's probably an easy thing to do. I used to, when I was in corporate life, I used to run a network marketing business. And I'm going back in time now because it started off, we had videos, there were video cassettes, and then it was DVDs. But all we wanted people to do, get somebody to watch this DVD. That DVD was the tool that did the selling. Your videos are the things that could sell you that other people just need to get them to watch that video. So you've got to make it easy for people. people don't know our stuff like we do. So the more that we can equip them with the right stuff, the easier it makes it for them. Right. Page 11. It's a really easy one. This connect method. Most people go networking, describe themselves by their name and their job title. Now imagine I'm an accountant and I meet you and I go, hi, Rohit, I'm Jamie, I'm an accountant. In your head, you go, that's great. I already know an accountant. I don't need another one. So most people introduce themselves by the name and the job title. I encourage people to tell me a bit about you when you're not working. People struggle with that sometimes. So I put this together. So that's an acronym for, tell me a bit about your childhood. I grew up in the Lake District. What about your family? I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 dogs. I've got a partner. What do I do when I'm not working? I like to barbecue, drink gin, eat curry. New places that I like to go to. I've got a whole list of places that I want to go to. Most people want to find something that they've got in common with us. You don't need to go through it line by line. But if you use this, if you go first, people will follow you. So if you go to a networking event, and I didn't do it tonight, what I would normally do at the start of this training, I'd probably get people to introduce themselves. And Stuart would go first and he'd introduce himself by his name and his job title. And then everyone else would follow suit. And then I go, so I'm Jamie, I'm a dad, I've got dogs, I've got kids, I like gin. And then people think to themselves, why are you doing that? I didn't know that I could do that. Because everyone just follows the first person. So you go first. When you're having your one-to-ones with people, let me get to know you first. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a bit about me, and then I want to get to know you. Then we can talk about business. So use this as a template. I got someone to do this, and I used to be involved in a franchise that, it's about finding out what makes people tick, and you get to know them, and it makes a difference. So I used to be involved in this franchise. They had this brilliant name for this thing that I'm talking about right now. They called it the 2-minute exercise. And like, it was just genius. Like, surely they could have come up with a better name for it. And they said, just talk about yourself for 2 minutes. So I gave them a bit of a name, the Connect method. So they gave people a framework. And I got someone to do it. They were having a one-to-one with somebody that they'd only recently met. So she went first, and then the other person followed suit. She ended up passing 3 referrals at the end of the meeting, because when you listen to what people say, she said that she needed to earn some more money. She introduced her to somebody. Well, she needed to save some money first because she wanted to take the kids on holiday. So she got introduced to somebody in the utility warehouse. She signed up, saved some money on a utility warehouse. Turns out she was quite good and joined utility warehouse and started making some money from that. Then she was also, she went to take the kids on holiday, so she got introduced to a travel counsellor who she booked a holiday through, and she also wanted to save up for a mortgage to move house, and she got introduced to a mortgage broker. All from following that simple formula, tell me a bit about you when you're not working. So when you get to, like, one of the, earlier on I said, if you want more referrals, you've got to pass more referrals. Getting to know people about what's going on in their personal lives is a great way to do that. Someone's pregnant, if you're a builder, and someone's pregnant, and let's say my partner was pregnant and we live in a 2-bedroom house and we've already got 3 kids, I either need to move house or put an extension on. So getting to know the personal stuff around people can make a real difference. So that's just something that you can use to get to know people. Thank you so much. Okay. 12, rapport building skills. Before we do that, Stuart, I'm going to use you for the purpose of this next bit. If you could just unmute yourself. Let's assume that we're at a networking event. You've been to Circle Networks. Just do your normal introduction that you would normally do.
Introducing myself, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'll follow you now. So I'll basically say, I'm Stuart, live up here in the beautiful Lossiemouth, right on the beach, and I'll introduce myself that way and
Have a cup of tea.
do a bit of the hobby stuff as well. But what I do now as well, Jamie, I put notes down here to remind myself to do it, is introduce myself by not what I do, but what you achieve. I think that's really important as well. So I will never introduce myself as somebody that sells a business.
So, right, okay, so let me stop you there. So I was trying my best to distract you by doing all the stuff that people do on Zoom. Big yawn, asking someone for a cup of tea, turning my camera off. It's the opposite of rapport building. So Stuart, you're like super slick, know what you're talking about. But for a lot of people when they're networking, these little things that we do, you know, if all of a sudden I just turn my camera off as you start talking, it distracts you. We wouldn't if we were at a face-to-face event and Stu, you just started doing your thing. I wouldn't just pick up my phone and reply to a message.
Well, some people do. Never say never.
Well, generally, but you're not gonna pass them any referrals when they do that, are you?
No, certainly not.
How many people see people leaning in and then their screen starts wobbling a little bit because they're typing an email, not even watching the Zoom call? So people are savvy to this stuff. That's how you break rapport with people. So it's the opposite of getting to know people. It's pushing them away. So when
Absolutely.
you're at an event, online or in person, give people your attention. And it goes a long way. So if I'm saying something that's funny and you smile, that makes me feel good. I'd much prefer, Stu, do you ever do any webinars?
Yes.
And do you get feedback on those compared to Zoom?
Not actively, not as active as I should.
But it's hard, isn't it? Because on Zoom, we can see people's reactions. And I did a LinkedIn Live a few weeks ago. So people can watch it, but you don't see their faces. They can type comments, but you don't know if anyone's listening or paying attention or smiling when you crack a joke. It's really hard. So people want to see people's faces. So when I'm talking, I want to see that you're looking at me. And if you're nodding, there's active listening, smiling. I can see when someone puts their head down like this, they're writing something down. When they just glance down like this, they're looking at their phone. So if you're wanting to make an impression with people and you think that I could introduce you to an investor, and I see you, Craig, so this isn't you, but let's assume that you had been going, God, it's so boring. I'm just going to WhatsApp my friends and I'm just looking down like this. I'm aware of that and it's distracting. And then I'm not going to do the stuff that you want to do. So you can break rapport with people. So that's the opposite. Just be aware of it. Now that I've pointed it out, you're going to notice more people doing this kind of stuff. So when you're
Jamie, there's another one to watch out for as well, which actually quite annoys me. And you mentioned it earlier. Sometimes the light can change, but what you've got to watch out for. I'll see if I can. I don't know if I'll be able to do it or not. Let me see if it works. Hold on 2 seconds. Yeah, right. So just watch me, right? Because then you'll see my face change. See how the color of my face is changing? That's because I'm opening and closing the email, right?
Yeah.
And when you see somebody's face changing color, it's a surefire sign that they're checking the email. And I watch when I'm doing the BGA for Powerthon, I watch for this all the time because I've got to be honest with you, it really pisses me off.
But we don't start the meeting by going, so I'm going to be watching everyone tonight to see if your face changes color, because I'm watching whether you're reading emails or actually paying attention to what I'm saying. But it goes through our heads. So people do this stuff.
But you're right, Jamie. I mean, it's absolutely 100%, because one of the things that everybody's got to realise here is rapport can take hours, days, weeks to build, and it can be destroyed in seconds.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing as well, and Jamie, you've just hit it right in the head. You're not going to say, I'm not going to refer Stuart because he checked his emails during that call. That's just ludicrous. But you're not going to refer Stuart because there's something niggling you.
Yeah.
There's just something not quite right about that person. I just don't have this no like and trust yet. And I think this is one of the big takeaways that I'm taking from this tonight is it's what we call in coaching terms being present. You've got to be present, not so much on general Zoom calls, but definitely on the one-to-ones. It's so important, 100% present.
I saw a YouTube video or a Facebook video from Simon Sinek, and he's the bloke that wrote Start With Why, went famous for going viral. And he's on stage and he's got his phone in his hand, and he's talking away, and he's going, right, so I'm just here tonight to speak to you about this stuff. And then he goes, who feels like they're not as important as my phone in my hand right now? And like for me, I've got virtually all the notifications turned off my phone. Doesn't vibrate, doesn't light up, it won't ring. The only time my phone rings is if my partner or one of the kids rings me. That's the only noise that it will ever make. It's always on silent. So it's easy for me not to get distracted and to be present with people. If my phone is out, it's usually upside down, so it doesn't even light up, because all these things distract us and distract the people that we're with as well. So it makes a big impact. So I've got 4 tips here. Listen, right? You go to networking events. Someone summed it up perfectly the other day. We've got 1 of these and 2 of these, and we need to use them in that order. So we need to do more listening than we do talking. So listen. When you listen, you can show people that you're listening. You can nod. You can look at the screen, smile, frown when it's appropriate, look like you're taking notes. The second one I've got, smile. It makes such a difference. Such a difference when people smile when you're talking. You know that you're getting through to them. If it's appropriate, ask questions. Tobias, you're brilliant with that, right? On Zoom, something's going to happen at some point where someone needs to leave the room. Just put back in a sec. It makes such a difference rather than just getting up and walking out. If it was in person, you go, I'm really sorry, I just need the toilet. Or whatever it might be. In our world now, it's Amazon at the door, isn't it, generally? Amazon are at the door. Right, I'll be right back. Always comes at the wrong time. The dogs need to go out. We live in this world where people understand when we're at home, kids, dogs, all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Alan. So if it's appropriate, ask questions of people. So when someone's doing a presentation, there's nothing worse than getting to the end of it and somebody goes, has anyone got any questions for Jamie? And there's that awkward tumbleweed moment where everyone's looking a bit uncomfortable. I haven't got any questions. I just want it to shut up so I can go and get my tea. That awkward tumbleweed moment. So if you're meeting with somebody, the best way that you can show that you've been paying attention is to have a question for them. And you can make it really easy. And I have standard questions that I ask. So generally, when someone will do a talk, and I'll say to them, because they don't make it easy, what's a great introduction for you? What can I do to help you? What can I help you with this week? And just those 3 questions can put somebody at ease and make you feel like, all right, it was worth going to that event. Someone was listening to me. Somebody wants to help. Take action is the 4th one. So go networking, do something. Don't go networking and do nothing, because it's the same as not even going. So if you're going to go networking and I meet Remo for the first time and he asks me for something and I think, actually, I could probably do something like that. Now I can either go away and speak to Tom and then go, Tom, I know this guy, Remo, I think he'd be a good fit for you, and then set up a meeting. Or it might be that I need to go back to Remo and say, right, based on what you said at that networking event, I think I can help you. Can you just answer this, this, and this for me? And what's the best way? And what would you like me to do? And then I go away and speak to Tom and do that thing. But doing something, even if I can't help. And one of my frustrations at the moment is I seem to have a better conversion rate of my social media in generating business for other people than I do myself. So I'll write posts about people that I work with and people that I network with. And then, so Ailsa's a good example. So she works with me. She helps me with my marketing. She's helped me with my brand development. And I wrote a post about her a few weeks ago. One of my connections then messaged her and said, hi, Ailsa, I saw your post that Jamie wrote about you. I'd like to work with you. I'm like, I don't get that. I don't get people saying to me, Jamie, I saw your social media post. I'd like to sign up. It doesn't happen. The last year I did a rebrand and my graphic designer, he's had 4 people that have signed up with me after me writing a few posts about how he did my redesign. Gillian that I mentioned earlier that did the copy course, 2 people signed up when I did a post about her and a copy course that was starting the following week. It's really frustrating. But if you do that for the people that you network with, you don't know who like if you wrote a post about Stuart and what he's good at, you don't know who in your network's watching that might be looking to buy that thing. And because they follow you and read your stuff, there's a level of trust. Because we don't write posts about people who are strangers. We write posts about people that we know. And based on what you write, if you write it the right way, there's a level of trust. Then you can get work for people. So it might be that you've heard a presentation at a networking event and go, oh, Rohit did this presentation at this networking event today. So if you're looking for someone that does this, this, and this, a picture of him with his contact details. I once did that for a guy who didn't know that I was going to write a post about him. I went on his Facebook, took a load of pictures, and he refurbished floors, stone floors. And I took some pictures off his Facebook of previous projects that he'd done. And there was a guy that I was connected to, was the MD of an insurance company. I'd met him once and we connected on LinkedIn. So I wrote this post. This guy got in touch, I forget his name. And he said, oh, can you get your friend to call me? I've got a patio that needs to be done. It was a 28 grand refurb. It was the biggest job he'd ever had. For me, writing a post about him and someone that I hardly know needed that doing. Biggest job he'd ever had. So imagine you doing that for other people. What are they going to do? They're going to start doing it back for you. It makes such a difference. Somebody in our network last week, apparently last week, it was Random Act of Kindness Week. I don't know if you knew that, but you do now. And so Charlotte last week, every day, wrote a social media post about somebody in her network. At the end of the week, someone dropped her a message and said, you've got a great team of people about you. Can I book a meeting because I need some help with that thing that you do? Even though she hadn't wrote about her thing that week, because she'd been shouting out people that she knows, it prompted someone to get in touch with her about her service, and she hadn't even been promoting it. So you writing posts about the people that you network with can make you look good as well. So that's 4 tips. Use the mute button when it's appropriate. You don't always have to be on mute, but like for me, if I've got the 2 dogs, if the dogs are down with me, I'll generally be on mute. Otherwise, I leave myself unmuted because I'm quite quiet. Sometimes we don't know what noise we make. I used to network with someone and she had long hair and she used to use the Apple earphone, you know, the white wires with the earbuds in and the little microphone down here. And every time she moved her head, which she did a lot, it rustled on her hair and it made this scratching noise. And nobody ever told her, but you see how the screen's green around me? So she would never be on mute and she'd move her head all the time when someone was doing their presentation and everyone was distracted constantly by the noise. She had no idea. So I recorded it one day and WhatsApped it to her and she was like, I had no idea. So be aware of the noises. And if you see that green screen come up, it means that you've made a noise that's interrupting somebody else sometimes. Just something to be aware of. And manage your time. So Stuart and I, we've both been in BNI. I'm guessing, Stuart, that they probably had a 60-second timer or something in your BNI chapter. So it's ruthless. So I used to be in this BNI group, and you remember when we were kids, and you'd have like a brass bell. There'd be I feel the need to explain what a brass bell's like, but it would be about that size. And like you get on counters in shops sometimes. And when you got to the end of your 60 seconds, no matter how far through, someone would ring the bell with great delight and interrupt you and make you look stupid. If on Zoom, I think it's really easy to be in control of your time because you can, like I've got this, this is a silent alarm clock. So if I'm doing a presentation and it's like triangular shape like that. So if I'm doing at Circle Networks, we do 7-minute presentations. So I turn it to 7 minutes and I can see at a glance how much time I've got left. When it gets to 0, it flashes like that. No alarms go off or anything. So I can have that. If I know that I'm going to be doing a presentation, I can just glance at it because nobody wants anybody to run over. There's nothing worse. If you know that, like at Circle Networks, we do 7-minute presentations. So we'll have breakout sessions and then 2 of our members do a 7-minute presentation. If you go on for 15 minutes, everyone knows. But we don't like to interrupt. So I encourage people to manage their time. So I'll guide people politely with that because I never want to have to introduce them. But in our breakout rooms, Everybody gets 4 minutes each. There'll be a countdown timer in the top of the screen. We put a message in that says first 4 minutes gone. Time to turn to the next person. Don't use up too much time with people. And as I'm saying that, I'm saying that for my benefit because I know we finish at 7:30. Page 13. There's a template there for you to fill in. Now, this page here, it says start with a fact. You could do a couple of different versions of this. So you don't just have to have one. So at most networking events that you go to, people will follow the normal thing. Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm Jamie from Circle Networks. And this week I'm looking for an introduction to Bill Bloggs because I can do X, Y, Z for him. So if you know Bill Bloggs, then pass me an introduction. They all follow the same format. If you do something different, it's called a pattern interrupt. And I used to see this all the time. Let's say we were at a networking event. There's 19 of us. And Stu, do you want to let that other person? I don't know who's in the waiting room. If you see everybody, people's heads bob. They bob along as they're pretending to take notes and go, hi, I'm Jamie from Circle Network. So you can do something different. So what if you start with a fact? Like, did you know that 90% of people hate networking? It could be something, you find something that's relevant to your stuff. Public speaking is the biggest fear. Everybody thinks that builders are rogues that charge too much. Whatever it might be, pick something that's going to capture people's attention and then tell a little bit of a story. So then just fill in the blanks. My name is Stuart, and I help people describe your ideal client and the problem that you fix, and then how you do it. Now, the beauty of online networking is you can have all that filled out and you can have it on the desk in front of you. At face-to-face networking events, generally, you're not allowed to read from a script. And for a lot of people, public speaking is the biggest fear that they've got. None of us ever want to look stupid. So with online networking, you can have some notes in front of you. You could even bring it up on screen and have side by side. So you could have Zoom on one half of the screen and your notes there on it so that you just like glance in at that stuff. It's never been easier to get your message across and do it professionally. So that's just something that might help you do that. Page 14.
Jamie, can I just interrupt because there's another trick as well. I can't remember what apps, but if you Google it, you'll find out you can actually get little teleprompter apps now, right? And these are absolutely brilliant because that means you are looking straight at the camera, and it's just like the President of the United States, although he can't even speak with a teleprompter, but it just makes it so much easier and such a slick way. And there's a couple of free ones out there, so you might want to look at a teleprompter as well.
Love it. Right, so I'm on page 14. I'm hoping it says Dream 15 in your notes.
It does.
Yep. So I updated this last year, and the Dream 15 is, right, imagine you've got somebody, so let's say Stuart, right? Stuart's been networking with us today, and so Stuart, what would be an ideal introduction for you?
The ideal introduction for me is a Gen X business owner that wants to get his shit together before it's too late.
Okay. So let's say that we know Stuart really well, and he deals with people that we want to deal with. Okay. So you've got someone that you want to build a good relationship with. The Dream 15 is going away and putting a bit of effort in and coming up with a short list of 15 people that you know. So you go away and you go through all your clients. You go through all your Facebook connections. You go through all your LinkedIn connections. You go through your phone book and you work out who are the best 15 people that you could introduce to Stuart. And you write out how you know them and how well you know them. And then you go back to Stuart and go, right, Stuart, I've done a bit of work based on what you said the other day and an ideal referral. Got this list of people. You're welcome. Got this list of people that I'd like to introduce you to. Let me talk you through them so that you can tell me what to do. How would, Stuart, if someone did that for you, so if they came back to you with a list of 15 people and then said, right, I've got this person, how would that make you feel?
Yeah, incredible. And I mean, that's never happened. You've got one or two, but certainly never had a situation where somebody puts in that kind of effort. And I tell you what, that would pay back in dividends massively. I like this. I love it.
Even if I did that and I never got you a referral, just you knowing that I'd done that for you and gone away and tried
Correct.
would bring us much closer together in helping each other.
Well, it wouldn't now because I know how it works now. So hey.
No, but it would, because I'd want you to reciprocate. The purpose of me doing that is because I want to get you some business.
Right, but do you know what, Jamie? Joking aside, this is actually easier to do than a lot of people think, because Jamie, it might actually been you, where you held up your phone. I mean, how many people are on that phone that I could refer you to? Look, I mean, using you as an example, Jamie, there's probably about, I don't know how many contacts I've got on my phone, but I could probably refer both of them to you.
I'd be very grateful. But like, I think a lot of people go networking thinking about what they can get. Right. I want you to change your mind. I want you to change your mindset tonight. If you go networking to help other people, then they will help you back. That's the biggest tip that I can give you for networking. And you might find that it's hard to pass introductions to people. And that's perfectly normal because they're going to find it hard to introduce you. And the better that you get at making introductions, the easier it will get for other people. So if I pass Stuart referral after referral after referral, at some point, he's going to think, I need to pay him back in some way. And you build up credit in the bank. There was a guy, has anybody ever read a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine by a guy called Chet Holmes? Good book. He's dead now. In it, he talks about at any moment in time, only 3% of people are buying. So if you think about that, at any moment in time, out of 100 people, only 3% of people are looking to book a holiday. Only 3% of people are looking to buy a car. Only 3% of people need your services. And what a lot of people do when they go networking, they speak to the room. And 97% of people switch off because they're not in buy-in mode. Nobody, I would imagine, out of all of you guys that go networking, when you go networking, do you go networking to buy anything? We don't. We go networking to sell. And everybody goes networking to sell. And because everyone's networking to sell, nobody buys anything and people go away frustrated. If you go networking to help people with referrals, then you're going to help somebody and then they're going to want to pay you back. It might be that there is one of the 3% in the room and somebody actually says, actually, I need to buy your thing today. And that's great. But if you go networking to make it easy for people to help you, then you're speaking to 100% of the room. That's the biggest difference. So that Dream 15 is a way for you to structure some of your activity so that when you meet Stuart at a networking event, if you want to build a great relationship, go away and do some work and then have a meeting with him and say, right, I've done this work. Here's these people. How can I introduce you to them? You teach me what I need to do now. I've done my bit. Here's my network. Here's my contacts. You teach me how I can help. Page 15. We're nearly there now. Nearly there. In our network, we don't call them one-to-ones. So I think networking has ruined the phrase one-to-ones. Right? I think if you network and you go networking and someone says can I have a one-to-one, in your head you're thinking they're going to try and sell me something. And I know a lot of people that don't even have one-to-ones because they don't want people pitching to them. So we call them collaboration calls. And it does what it says on the tin. It's a meeting for two people to work out how they can collaborate and help each other. And if you arrive at those meetings with that intention, then the weird thing is that that's what people do. So you have meetings with people where you work out how you're going to help. So what to do? A lot of people say to me, what should I do in my collaboration calls? Imagine that you're going to train someone to be a salesperson for you. They're not going to sell, but they're going to introduce people. So it's the next best thing to selling. How many times do we turn up not in our best state? We're having a bad day, shit's going on, particularly on Zoom. We'll be sat here going, email, boring stuff, chasing somebody up that hasn't paid our bills. We're in that low energy state. Compare that to when you go to a face-to-face meeting. If you're going to a networking event, you're probably going to dress up a little bit. You're going to put on some aftershave. You're going to drive there. You might have some music on in the car. You're getting some daylight. You might have, you're a bit more energized. You're a bit more with it. You're feeling good. When we just sat at our desks all day and we're in that sluggish, low energy state, and then we have a call with somebody, it sounds like that. It's flat. Have you ever found that when you're doing a sales call with somebody and you're on a phone and you stand up and walk around and you feel better and you can move and you sound different? I think sometimes when we're on Zoom all the time, we can just feel a bit like that. So get yourself into the right state beforehand. Look the part. Feel energized. Feel good. Be excited. You've got to be the best you whenever you show up for anything to do with networking. Because if I only see the rubbish you, why am I going to introduce you to my best people? Do you want me to judge you on 50% Tobias or the best Tobias? It's going to be the best one, isn't it? It's not like, I know that I have days where I'm like, can't be bothered. Someone's done something that's pissed me off. Somebody hasn't done something that's pissed me off. The dogs have just peed on the floor or whatever it might be. You've got to turn up as the best you for your networking stuff. So that's your meetings with people, the same way that you would with your best clients. It's a state of mind to get into. Then have an agenda for your meetings. First meeting, usually with somebody, you're getting to know each other. If I've just met Craig for the first time, I'm going to do that background stuff. We're going to get to know each other. Might not introduce him to my best person after the first meeting. You're on mute, Craig.
Sorry, Chief. Yeah, I've got a few things in my background, some interesting things. Colourful objects.
I like it.
A nice metal drawer there. But anyway, I like, technical bright colours, so that's me all through.
I like it. But so like turn up as the best version of you, be prepared, get in the right state. What do you want people to remember? So that's the bit. You've got to be that helpful, friendly person. You've got to be the person that they're happy, confident enough, trust you in order to introduce you to their connections. Have an agenda. So first meeting's getting to know people. Second one, you might talk about your ideal client. You need to learn about theirs. They're not going to know this stuff. So you've got to teach people and take people through it. We've talked about some of the tools. So here's how much I charge. Here's how I charge. Here's my process of when I receive a referral, I'm going to ring them up first and set up a meeting. Then I'm going to go and meet them. There was a financial advisor that I knew once, and he taught people this. So if you introduce me to somebody, first thing I'm going to do is have a phone call with them. Then I'm going to arrange to go around to their house to meet them. When I get there, I take my shoes off when I arrive. Little details like that. So when he arrived, and then he'd take them through the process, then there was nothing to sign on the day. He'd follow up the next day with a proposal, and then he'd do a phone call to see if they were interested. And when he taught people exactly what he did, and he went to their house and did exactly what he did, there was no surprises. So that's what you cover off in your meetings with people, as you're getting to know them, and that you need to learn about other people. People don't like surprises. In the job world, when we all have jobs, we would never go to a meeting without an agenda. You wouldn't just go, oh, let's have a meeting and turn up and have a chat and then go away and do nothing. So in corporate life, you have a meeting, you have an agenda, you share it with the other person. This is what we're going to talk about today. Somebody takes actions, right? Pravin, you've said that you're going to do this. I've said I'm going to do that. Let's meet again, and you set the date for the next meeting, and we'll find out how we've got on. It's a business meeting, business development meeting. One-to-one is a terrible name for it that means nothing. So treat it like a business. So I'm going to meet with you. I'm going to meet with you, Andrew, and we're going to talk business. And I'm going to find out of all the contacts that I've got, which ones are going to be good for you. And I'm going to go away and I'm going to do this. I'm going to speak to these 3 people, and then let's meet up again and we'll review how we're getting on. The dream scenario is that you start to get to know someone well enough. And I've got a guy, There was a financial advisor in our network. He'd been in another network and was quitting a year ago, January last year. He did a presentation last night for me. So he was ready to quit. One of the other guys was in his BNI group and said, oh, go and try Circle Networks. So he came to Circle Networks January last year. They'd had one-to-one and never passed each other any introductions. Paul's a financial advisor. He was the one that was quitting BNI. Jimmy's a private healthcare with WPA Healthcare. Dream referral partners. Joined Circle Networks. Loved it. He sat a longer training course that I run. The two of them now are referral partners. Meet on a weekly basis. At the end of the month, they look back through their diaries and talk each other through every person that they've met just to check that they've introduced or could introduce people to them. January, last month, Paul shared last night, he did 32 grand's worth of commission. Tripled his income in a year in that month. So best ever. He's been doing it 28 years. That was his best ever month in business from building really good relationships with somebody so that every time that they meet somebody, they're bringing up the other person in conversation and making those introductions. That's what this can do for you. Treat it like a business. Page 16, passing referrals that convert. I've had in my time some shit referrals, right? They're a complete waste of time. Jamie, you should meet Stuart. You two would get on brilliantly. I'm like, okay. So I meet Stuart and then we have a chat. And turns out he's got no money. He likes me. He's a nice guy, but he's got no money. So it's a bit of a waste of time. So there are varying degrees of referrals. You want to teach people how to get you somebody that at the point that they meet you, they already know what you charge. They know that you can fix the problem that they've got. Somebody's already qualified this person for you. And really, it's just putting a name to the face because of the trust that they've got with them. A bit like with a restaurant. How many of you are good at recommending your favorite restaurant or your favorite pub? You do it without even thinking about it. And based on your recommendations, someone will go and spend money in that restaurant. The same thing can happen with your business. Someone should know your business well enough that they can introduce you. The final bit that they need to do is just to meet you and have a chat with you. And they go, right, yeah. Everything that Stuart said's true. This is what goes through their head. Everything that Stuart said's true. I've got a budget for that project. You're the man for it. I'm happy now. Let's go ahead. That's a 5-star referral. The others are just introductions. So but you can move it up and up. So if Stuart gets in touch with me and says, Jamie, I've got this guy, Craig, that I wanted to introduce you to. You should have a chat. The first thing that I would generally do is go back and say, why? I know you've said that we should meet, but why? Oh, well, he mentioned something about something the other day, and I just thought you two might get on. It's not going to be the best. So then it's okay for me to then go back to Stuart and say, well, can you check that he's actually interested in networking? That he's got the budget. You know, it's going to be £60 a month for him to get involved in Circle Networks. It's pointless introducing him if he's just joined another network or he doesn't like online networking. So go back and get the other person to qualify it and check that it suits your requirements. Otherwise, it just becomes a waste of time for me and Craig meeting when he doesn't have the money or the need or the desire for my thing. So pass really good referrals. In an ideal world, you're looking to work with people that you're happy to refer. It sounds a bit weird, that, doesn't it? So if I've just met Andrew for the first time tonight and I don't like him, but he introduces, sorry, Andrew, I do like you, but for the purpose of this, and I've just met him for the first time tonight and he does something that rubs me up the wrong way. He gets up and walks out halfway through my presentation, whatever it might be. But then he passes me a referral at the end of the night and I go, yeah, but he's still a dick. He walked out halfway through my meeting. I'm never going to pass him a referral. So no matter how many referrals he passes me, I'm not going to refer him back. At some point, he's going to stop referring me. So you've got to feel really comfortable with the people that you would refer them to your best clients to build a long-term relationship with them. If punctuality, the worst thing, punctuality is really important to me. And I turned up late for my own meeting the other day. I was mortified. And everybody knew it. My team were all taking the piss out of me on WhatsApp. And I didn't even realize, and I was 5 minutes late for my own meeting until someone rang me. What's the important stuff for you? Because if it's a little thing like that, if someone's continually late with me, it doesn't last long. If someone says that they're going to do something and don't do it, that's another red flag for me. That'll stop me referring them, because I know what's really important to me. So you've got to work out what's really important to you. Teach other people how to help you. Teach them what you want in a referral. There was somebody that I heard of once. He had a wheelie bin business, a commercial wheelie bin business. And all he wanted someone to do is down in London. You might have heard this. It was a B&I story, Stuart. All he wanted somebody to do, he had big blue commercial wheelie bins. And if you saw one that wasn't blue, take a picture of it and send it to him. He would go round and sell them his service. That was all he wanted from a referral. Fair enough. That's what worked for him. What I want is, I want a conversation with somebody where ideally, I don't just want you introducing them to me. I want you to get a meeting booked. So if me and Craig are referral partners, I would have given him my booking link so that when he's speaking to Pravin, he can just set up a meeting rather than sending me an email to introduce me, where I've then got to reply to the email to then ask Pravin to book a meeting. When Craig's just sat with Pravin and said, I've got Jamie's link here. When would you like to meet? Here's his diary. Look, let's book something in. Then ring me afterwards and say, Jamie, I've just set up a meeting for you with Pravin. Here's what it is that he does. Here's what he wants. Let me know how you get on. Imagine if you had some people doing that for you. That's what you can achieve with networking. Okay, good referrals. So there's good referrals and bad referrals. Try your best to pass better referrals. The better you pass them, the better they are for the person receiving them, the better they're going to think of you and the more they're going to do to help you back. But it's also good for the person that you're introducing to as well. Page 17. I'm going to wrap up now. Things that you need in a referral partner. So someone needs to have the desire to help you. These are non-negotiable. So if you don't want to help me, it's not going to be a very good partnership. So they've got to have the desire. If someone's got to have time. So they've got to have a bit of time to meet with me. If you struggle to set up a meeting with somebody because they're constantly busy, they're not going to be a very good referral partner. So they've got to have time. They've got to be a little bit coachable, trainable. They're probably not even proper words, those, but you've got to be able to teach them your stuff. They've got to be willing to learn. If they're a know-it-all, they're just going to make mistakes and introduce you to the wrong people and never get you what you want. They've got to have the resources in some way to be able to help you. They've got to be referable themselves. If you won't refer them, it's pointless striking up a relationship with them because it's only ever going to be one way. And then they've got to have access in an ideal world to your ideal clients. And you pretty much need all six. If somebody's not referable, you're never going to refer them back. They're going to stop referring to you. If I might get on brilliantly with Stuart, but if he doesn't have access to my ideal clients, how is he ever going to pass me an introduction? So you can filter your people. So you can meet some people that you like, and you might stumble upon a referral for them, but you're not going to be able to pass a consistent flow. This is to find referral partners. There are some people that just do a lot of networking, meet a lot of people. Occasionally they'll meet someone that can introduce to you. Lewis is involved in office setup and relocations and stuff. I might not be in that world, but I might know somebody that does a lot of stuff like that. Well, I can introduce him to a good referral partner. I still like him, and occasionally I'll stumble across stuff that can help him. So there'll be some people like that for you, that occasionally they'll find a referral. But what you want is somebody that's dealing with all of those people that you want to deal with on a daily basis. 9, I've covered that. How to pass more referrals. Go and help people. There's a book there, The Go-Giver. This is my #1 recommendation for anyone that goes networking. And it's like the toolkit for how to help other people. Read The Go-Giver. As long as you don't tell anyone else. So, Stuart, have you come across this book?
No, never came across that one before. So
It's quite a big deal.
Go-Giver.
Yeah, it's a big deal in the networking world. I've got his other book as well. So he's got this other one called Endless Referrals, a guy called Bob Berg. He's interested in launching Circle Networks in America. So I'm a bit giddy about that. I've got a meeting with them on Friday. So He's been networking for a long time. So out of all the networks in the world, he's interested in launching mine in America. So I'm a bit giddy about that. But read that book. It's a really easy book. You probably read it in 2 nights. The audiobook's good as well. There's a series of them, but just the main one. And it's a story. It's a parable. It's not like a textbook. So teach people how to help you. Go with the intention of helping others. When you're meeting people, the more people you help, the more people are going to help you back. Teach people what you want and what you don't want. It's all right to say, I don't want to deal with pain in the ass people. I don't want to deal with people that have got no money. I don't want to deal with people that pay their bills late, that always complain. And then tell them what you do want. Have business meetings with people. One-to-ones can be a waste of time. Bring people to events with you. Bring people to events. If you're going to go networking, there's a guy that I went down on a bit of a road trip. I've just met somebody and I thought it'd be good fun. He might be interested in going along. We went, he then became a client of mine because we did a bit of a road trip together. Thanks, Stuart. So invite people to events, even if it's online, and then work on some of the tools that you need to help people. So I've put in the chat my Linktree link, and there's some resources in there that you might find useful. Having things like that make it really easy for people. WhatsApping people some videos of work that you do or testimonials, all that kind of stuff. And then the last bit, if you struggle to describe your ideal client, there's a ChatGPT prompt that you can use. Now, I did this the end of last year. ChatGPT is constantly updating. I haven't checked that it still works. That's just my get out of jail free in case it doesn't work. But you copy and paste that into ChatGPT, and it should ask you one question at a time that you answer, and then give you a summary at the end of what your ideal client is. Might just be something that just, like sometimes we can't quite put the words together of what it is that we're looking for, but we can answer questions from people. And my idea for that was that it coaxes out of you one little bit at a time and then just gives you a summary at the end. And that is me done. Apologies that I've run over a little bit. I think we started 6 minutes late. That's my excuse.
No excuse needed. Absolutely brilliant. I've taken, let me just tell you, hold on 2 seconds. 7 pages of notes.
All right. It's what you do afterwards, Stuart, that counts, though.
Yeah. Admittedly. So I use a Remarkable rather than taking paper and pen. Jamie, that's been brilliant. And you know what? This is really interesting because we know all this stuff.
Yep.
You've not no disrespect to your fantastic presentation, but
There's nothing new there, is there?
Not one bloody thing that I didn't know, right? But doing very little of it, right? And I think this is where it's so important, is just to get this, consistency back, because I have seen networking that works. I've seen networking that doesn't work. And what you have described today is how you move that needle to get it to work.
Yeah.
Because I don't honestly think there's a marketing strategy out there that actually beats this proper networking face to face or online. I mean, I'm not talking that like LinkedIn. People think LinkedIn's networking. No, it's not. Right, this kind of thing's networking. So absolutely brilliant. So, has anybody got any other questions for Jamie? Anybody got any questions at all?
Remember that bit where I said, and the best way to build rapport with people is to have a question at the end? That was me setting you up for failure at the end.
I've got a question.
Go for it.
Go for it.
I might have missed it when I walked out for 5 minutes to put my little into bed. So if I did, I apologise. Sort of networking events and stuff. I did start looking locally to me before, well, it's about a month ago actually, before I knew you were doing this event, funnily enough. But is it as simple as a Google search, or is there somewhere specifically to go and look?
Okay, so am I all right to talk about Circle Network, Stuart, for a minute?
Of course, aye.
Okay, so we've got online networking events, and ours run, and there's a mixture of people. So we give them a loose geographic base. So, for example, I'm in Cheshire. We've got a Cheshire group. Half the people that come along will be local in Cheshire. Half of them will be from other parts of the country. But because we all network online, we all know people all over the country. So for our events, I just encourage people to come along and try one that suits them.
Yeah.
Some people, and it'll give you a taste of it. There's a 2-week free trial. So if you either go to, if I put this, either click on that link or go to the Circle Networks website, you can see the list of events that we've got. We don't do early morning events. Ours are either 10 till 11:30, 1 till 2:30, 5 till 6:30 on Mondays, or we do a 6:30 till 8 on a Thursday night. People can come to as many or as few as they want. But what I've found is people that I've got one guy that's in our network. He hasn't been for 2 months, and he's signed up 5 clients over the last few weeks from the network because we've got an active WhatsApp group. People are introducing him. So we're more than just your typical networking thing. It's a place to learn how to network and build relationships as well as go networking. And I think that's what makes us slightly different. Our strapline is friendship fuels business. So it's not a place to, and there's nothing wrong with this. If you just want a place to go and pitch, then there's loads of networks out there for that. If you want to learn how to network and build relationships with people, and then I had somebody who was, she was an online PT. She got involved with Circle Networks at the point that she had £17 in her bank account. She was absolutely broke. She came and learned how to network with us and then transformed her business outside of Circle Networks with all the stuff that she learned, and got to the point that she's left the UK as this online coaching business that's paying her thousands of pounds a month. Didn't get a single client from our network, but learned everything that she needed in order to build her business up. So that's Circle Networks. I think all networking works. My advice to most people is ask somebody. If you want in like recommendations, ask people, post on LinkedIn. Be wary that you might get inundated with stuff, but you'll usually know some people that network, so you can ask them for their advice as well. So I'm not that person that says ours is good, everything else is shit. There are lots of good networks out there, and I think that you probably need to be in 1, 2 in order to get the introductions that you're looking for. And it depends where you're at in your business and what you're looking for, if that helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Craig?
Anybody else got any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys,
Craig.
good evening. Good evening. It's John Shaw here. Good to meet all you guys. Sorry, I'm late. So I have a question in terms of, we seem to be going back to basics, Jamie, in terms of over the years of how we've networked, how we've interacted, and how we've did all the marketing, advertising, everything else. But kind of way back to the very beginning, it was all about one-to-one conversations, face-to-face, everything else, and then word of mouth, etc., etc. I mean, I've always advocated that's the best way to promote yourself and your business, and obviously to recommend other people, etc., etc. So for me, it's about, it seems as if it's a full circle that we're going back on.
Right. So I network a lot, as you would imagine, but equally I post on social media and I've got an email list as well. So all of those things are part of my marketing mix. I'd love to be able to say you only need to network and that's the only thing that you need. But it might, like I said, I don't know if you were there for that bit where I said, if I post about somebody on my social media and write a good recommendation for Stuart, he might get a client from it. And I'll post about my stuff all day long and I get no clients. So it's a mixture of stuff that helps with that. But the people that you network with can become your advocates online as well. Ultimately, for most of us, we don't get business through our websites. We get business from having conversations with people, and those conversations are usually one-on-one conversations. The advantage of networking is that you can have a free sales force. So you can have a group of people, and it might only be 1 or 2 or 3, and then you might have like an inner circle of a couple of people that you collaborate with really closely. And when they get a client, John, what is it you do?
I own a scaffolding contracts business.
Okay, so there'll be a number of people that when, I don't know, not that up on scaffolding, but there'll be some people that will win the job before you, and then the next natural sort of roofer will win a job. They naturally need to bring some scaffolding in. Equally, there'll be some people that work after you, probably, I don't know, the painters are the last people to come in. There'll be a group of people that you could work with that they could recommend each other. And then there'll be some people that just stumble upon stuff. But if you've got that inner circle of people that when one gets a job, the other gets it, you probably don't need many other sources of marketing. But what you need to do is, and I see this a lot, I see people that go networking because they need some business. So they throw themselves into networking. They have a load of meetings with people, go to loads of events, and then they get busy. And then they stop doing the stuff that got them busy. I see it all the time. And they go on this roller coaster thing, feast famine constantly. I don't need to go networking right now. I've got loads of work. I'm busy for the next 3 months, next 6 months. And then they only come back when they need something. Well, if me and Stuart did that and I desperately need some clients now and he goes, oh, bollocks to that, I'm busy. I'll be back in 3 months when I've finished this project. And he only comes back when he wants something, then I'm just going to stop helping him. So we've got to be consistent with our networking with people and make time even though we're busy. And there are times that I go networking when I'm busy for my referral partners to find stuff for them. So you can get really consistent with it. And when you get good at it, it might be that networking is the only thing that you need, that word of mouth marketing. And that's the dream, isn't it? That you build a brand, and that's what Ailsa talked about last time, I guess. You build a brand that's built on word of mouth and reputation, and that's what does the selling for you. And that's the dream. That's the dream. So
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jamie. That might
Craig.
mean that maybe there's a lot of alcohol involved in terms of networking.
Definitely. So all our stuff's online.
All right.
Apart from we have locally, people will meet up and then we have a conference once a year in Birmingham. And yeah, there was some sore heads the next day after that.
Yeah.
So like on Sunday, I've got someone coming down from Moray next week at the weekend. She's coming down to Birmingham on Sunday. So we've got some people coming up from Somerset and we're meeting up for a curry in Birmingham. So we do some of that as well. But yeah.
Right. Go to Carlisle.
Yeah, it's halfway. Craig, you had a question.
Quick one for me then, before we end. I wondered actually if it was possible, and it also gets me to do something as well, that because I know now what I'm going to do is create a document or something so that when I speak to somebody, I can say to them, this is this is how you can help me, or this is, so I'm going to create a document. I wondered if you could have a look at that for me.
Yeah,
and mark it. I kind of look at it and say, oh, that's rubbish, or that's good, or keep that, delete that,
Yep, no problem at all.
I'll be driven to make that document, and it'll be the thing I have, the go-to thing. I have done one thing with my smartwatch, which is there's a QR code built into it, and that's my link tree. So I turned it into a QR code, so wherever I am on the bus or wherever I am, I don't get the bus. I can use that. So I'm onto that, but I could probably tidy up. I think I could probably go through it again, and it probably needs a bit of adjustment in that. But yeah, I've got BGA on there as well, so I'm trying to promote them too and get contacts. But you're right, I should probably just speak to Stuart and say, you know what, I've got a few people that would probably join up. I've done it a couple of times. I've had a couple of people be passed on before, so why not do it again? And I am busy.
Yeah, but that's it. We all just get busy. We all get busy with our own stuff, kids, family, clients. If you can just add into your normal routine a habit where you do something for other people. So for example, let's say that you go networking, just give yourself half an hour right afterwards where you go through your notes and you try and make an introduction for somebody, rather than booking something else in. It's dead easy to go from meeting to meeting, or you go to a meeting and you drive home and then you forget about stuff, or you turn the page, or it's the next day. It's just about building little habits, and those little things make a real difference. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, get in touch, Craig.
Yeah, well,
Anybody else? Any other questions, or will we wrap up at that? Everybody quite happy? Jamie, what I'll do tomorrow is I'll email everybody just so that I've got the links, they've got your contact details, they've got the workbook, just to make sure, because I think that the big thing that I'm taking away from this tonight is just take the bloody action, put it in place. So we'll make sure that everybody's got the tools they need to get started. So brilliant, Jamie. That's been absolutely fantastic. I loved it.
Welcome.
I'm going to review my notes tomorrow. I'll email everybody, and let's see how many we can get along and do a tryout circle, because it absolutely works.
Thank you. Right. Have a good evening, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Thanks again,
Cheers,
Jamie.
mate.
Really appreciate that. See you. Bye bye.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.
Yeah.